friends, and welcome to another video lesson on DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. This video is part of the playlist called Python Tutorial, and here we will be learning how to use Python to read the CSV file, particularly using a library called Pandas. Okay, so first is CSV. CSV file. I'll type it down here. Okay, so CSV file, CSV stands for comma separated values. So at the workplace, you'd probably come across a CSV file being opened and viewed using Excel. Note that it can also be opened and viewed and edited using a text editor like Notepad. So CSV, as the name suggests, comma separated values, precisely because the file itself stores data in that format, meaning the values are separated by commas, using the comma as a delimiter. CSV data itself is in ASCII format. ASCII, ASCII, meaning text, pure text. It doesn't have any formatting other than, like, say, maybe tab, but no, you cannot do a bold there, you cannot do an italics there. So you can create and edit, like I said, such a file either using Excel, Microsoft Excel, or any text editor. So I'll show you a sample of one. We will be using this CSV file for demonstration purposes in this video. And here you can see that it can be viewed like as if it were a normal spreadsheet consisting of columns and rows of data. Okay, so this is a CSV file. As the name, you can see at the title bar, the extension of the file is .csv. So this one being viewed using Excel. The same file can also be viewed using a text editor like Notepad. So this is the same file we're looking at right now. And if you scroll down, you can see it's the same one we have just seen using an Excel. Okay, so now that you've seen what a CSV file looks like, we can proceed. Before we continue, we need to get to know some new stuff in Python. Okay, so I will put it down here. So while I talk about it, you can look at it. So we will learn about data frame. So data frame is a two-dimensional data structure similar to the structure of a spreadsheet like Excel or an RDBMS table, database table. So we'll be learning a little bit about data frame due to time constraint. It may not be that deep. And you'll also be hearing about a new thing in this series. It's called Pandas, and not the animal, but Pandas meaning panel data. Okay, so I'll also post it down here. So Pandas is just a short name for panel data, which is a Python library used for data manipulation and analysis. Okay, so library is a collection of related program codes that can be reused. So across all the programming languages, maybe most of them, they use a library, which is just a term referring to a collection of program code that can be reused. Okay, so now let's look at a short code snippet here. Some 3 lines here, but it's very important that I gave you the background on some terminologies because you'll be encountering them in this short code. The first one is import pandas as PD. So import, like I said, pandas is short for panel data, and it is a Python library. A library is a collection of reusable program code. So why do we import? So when the software, the programming languages loads into the memory, it doesn't load everything. It doesn't load everything so that it doesn't gobble up and consume a lot of resources in your memory, in your RAM. So what happens is it will only load the most commonly used libraries, used on a day-to-day basis, very commonly used. And on an ad hoc basis, if you need them, then you can load them in your Python script using an import statement like this. So in this case, I'm importing or loading a library called Pandas, which is a Python library, and giving it an alias of PD. That's the meaning of this statement. Okay, so that's the first statement. The second line is this: df equals blah blah blah. So it looks familiar to you because it's a declaration of a variable of an object, which I'm just calling df. So the name can change because it's a declaration of an object, a variable. So I'm equating it with this. If you notice, the PD is here, is again an alias of the library I've imported, pandas. I've given it an alias of PD so that the next time I will refer to it in the code, I will not be using a long name. I will just use PD. And Python will understand what I'm referring to exactly. So in this case, I'm referring to the pandas library, given this alias. And then, so I'm referring to the PD here, which is pandas dot read CSV. So there is a function. Read CSV is a function of the pandas library. And with that function, it comes along with one parameter that you need to pass to it, which is the path, optionally the path, but specifically or most importantly, the file name that you want to pass to it. So you pass to the read CSV function the parameter. Mandatory is the file name, the CSV file you want to pass to it. It's case sensitive, enclosed in single quotes. And then because it's a parameter, you are enclosing it, or you're putting it inside a pair of parentheses. Okay. So again, there is a function that belongs to the PD object. PD meaning a pandas library, which I've imported. And the output of this is a data frame object. Okay. A data frame we have seen, if you scroll back, slide back your video some seconds ago, data frame is a two-dimensional data structure similar to the structure of a spreadsheet or an RDBMS table. Okay, so it's two-dimensional, meaning it consists of columns and rows, like an Excel file, like an Excel sheet. Okay, so the output of this is reading data from a CSV file, which is, in my case, employs the CSV. And in return, that output, which is a file, which is a data, is being passed to this data, to this variable or object, which we have called df. Okay, and then finally, now that the data is already nicely passed to this variable df, we will be able now to print or display that data in our Jupyter Notebook in this case. Okay, so I will run this now. Okay, so you see it displays to you the data which has been read by this read CSV function, which belongs to pandas library. Okay, it's being displayed to you. It consists of columns. Here are the column names, MID, name, number of units sold. So if we quickly look at the equivalent Excel file, it looks similar. Okay, so 3 columns there, MID, name, number of units sold. Okay, and it consists of rows. It has row numbers starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, here don't get confused. You see 2 sets of numbers. This the first one is the row num of the data grid, but the one really which is part of the data itself is the second column of numbers. Okay, the one under the column heading MID. Okay, so the first one is simply a row num, an internal row num for the data being displayed. Okay. Okay, so it displays, if you notice, the file I have actually is much longer than that. If you look at our Excel file here, which is CSV file, if I go to the very last, it is all the way up to row number 80. I'm referring to this row, not the Excel row, but the number of data in it. So if I highlight only the data, meaning except for the column heading, and you look at the count here, you see count is 80. There are 80 data rows there. But when I display it in Jupyter Notebook in Python using the read CSV function, in the print function, it only shows me 10 rows, right? So this is the default behavior of Python, particularly read CSV function, which is part of the pandas library. Okay, so nothing to worry. It is just the default behavior. Okay, now we can get around it. If you wanted to display more than that, especially if you wanted to display everything, then we can just replace the third line of this. So instead of just a simple print df, you can do this. So print df dot toString. So we have this toString, which is, I believe, is a method. So converting the data from a data frame into a string type of object. Okay, so with this, it will be able to display to you all the contents of your CSV file. Okay, so now it's able to display. You're only seeing 11 because of the view of my browser. So you can scroll down and you can see that it's complete all the way to, okay, so 79. This one, maybe you're missing one record here. That's intentional. I'm showing you another one, which is not a limitation, but another feature of this read CSV, and that is, we can see why. Just in case in your case you don't see everything, so you will not be shocked. There's another command to explain to you why it's only showing that much of records. Okay, so I can go here. I will move the other ones. So I'm printing the internal setting for the maximum number of rows to be displayed. And it's only able to display a maximum of 60 rows. Okay, so that's why you're not, maybe you're not seeing everything. So to if you wanted to display much more than that, especially everything, then you have to do this. Okay, so PD, that again, this is pandas. PD is the pandas related thing. Options is an options, your settings, so to display the maximum rows, setting it to a high number, in this case 9999. I don't know what's the upper limit, but this is how you get around it if you wanted to display everything, especially if it doesn't fit when you run the print df or the print df to string commands. Okay, so anyway, I'll put back the old code here. In any case, you'll learn a couple of things in here. So you learned that a library, I'll put them down here. Okay, a library is a collection of related program code that can be reused repeatedly. Okay, so you import a library because you only import what you need. You don't want to load everything into the memory and then slow down your PC or whatever it is you're using, laptop or server. And then you have pandas, which stands for the term panel data, taken from that, and which is a Python library used for data manipulation and analysis. So if you're a data scientist, data analyst, you will probably using, if you know somebody who is working as that, then you will hear that person from time to time mentioning pandas. So that's not the animal, but it is a Python library. And we know now that the library is a collection of related program code that can be reused repeatedly. So again, if you look back to the code which I had, okay, so if you look to this code and you remember that in these 3 lines of code, we have learned a couple of things. Okay, some things new to you. The concept of a library, what it is, especially pandas, specific to Python, pandas, panel data, what it is used for data manipulation and the analysis and such. And why we do an import. So import is you are importing a library on an ad hoc basis. Okay, so in this case, I will be using later on in this file function, which belongs to the pandas library. That's why I'm importing it. And during the import, which is something you will put at the very topmost of your script, remember that, you will put your import statement at the very top of your Python file script. And then you have this as PD, you're giving it an alias of something, which is a very short name, so that the next time you refer to that library, which in this case is pandas, then you don't have to give it a very long name. Okay, so that's the purpose of that. And the second line is, of course, you are now utilizing the function of pandas called read CSV, which is very specifically written to read CSV files, comma separated values files. And then to that, you will pass one parameter, which is the file name of the CSV file itself. If it doesn't work, then you just fully qualify it with the full path or relative path of the file. Okay, you can look up about it. You can Google it. What is full path? What's relative path? And then the output of that, which is the data frame data now, which is 2-dimensional array data, we also discussed minutes ago, is being passed to this variable or object called df. The name can be changed. It's a variable name. Okay, so now it holds this. This variable is of the type data frame. Okay, it's another terminology in Python. And data frame is some data frame type. And then finally, when you want to print it, you can print it as plainly like this. Let's get it as df. The bit of problem here is that it is designed to only show 10 rows max. But if you wanted to see more of that, then you have to do this. So you are in effect converting the data frame object to a string object. Okay, so when you run this, it displays everything, and you can just scroll down and see everything. Okay, and then you can do your data analysis and such and such. Okay, so thank you for watching. You learned about read CSV function in this video. You also learned a bit about what is pandas and library. Okay, if you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe, click the bell, pass the word, and I hope to see you in the next video.